The Prince of Egypt is directed by Brenda Chapman, Steve Hickner, and Simon Wells, and stars Val Kilmer and Ralph Fiennes. Egyptian Prince Moses learns of his identity as a Hebrew and his destiny to become the chosen deliverer of his people. This is one of the first DreamWorks films to have ever come out at the time of its release. I believe it was the second feature film after their CGI movie Ants, which was supposed to be competition for Pixar's A Bug's Life. But I feel like this movie could have been a better start to the company's long list of films that are iconic, like Kung Fu Panda or Shrek or How to Train Your Dragon. I feel like this would have been a better start because Ants, in my opinion, is fine, but The Prince of Egypt is absolutely fantastic. This is, in my opinion, one of the best adaptations of the Book of Moses and tells the story extremely well. And while it's not 100% faithful, it does take some creative liberties with that of it being a musical. I still think that the movie was able to stay true to the heart and themes of the original story extremely well. The performances by Val Kilmer and Ralph Fiennes and the rest of the cast are absolutely fantastic, and they all fit their characters very well. Especially Val Kilmer as Moses, in my opinion, who in this movie, in my opinion, is extremely underrated as his character. As not only does he voice Moses, he also voices the voice of God. And I think he's not only able to feel distinguishable, but I think that aspect of the film actually works pretty well because not only is it the voice of God, it is the voice of many other characters and people from the movie. And I think that portrayal of God in that way, in this voice, it is fantastic. And it helps emphasize God as much of a stern father figure who is in control and knows what he's doing, but you also feel that sense of love and warmth and care that he has for his people and for Moses. So that mixture of the terrifying God that you're scared of, but the loving God that you are excited to see in the other side, mixed in together, I think that portrayal was able to work very well for what this movie is going for. But going back to Moses, I think the way he's portrayed in voice here is really good. It does stay true to the story in many ways of who he is, but in this movie, considering that it takes a bit of liberties, especially with the way it portrays the brotherly bond between Ramses and Moses, I think it works well in the movie's favor because in many ways it still stays true to the characters, as Moses is the one brother that is more favored over Ramses, but you can still tell that there's still layers to this relationship as they do care for one another still, despite Ramses holding a bit of a grudge against Moses for being favorited one, and that even lingers on to their adulthood when they actually grow up and live different lives from one another, as Moses has a family and Ramses is the pharaoh of Egypt. He is still feeling like he's not as favored as Moses deep inside. So despite him being pharaoh, he still holds that bit of a grudge against him. And while he is able to hide that well when they meet again as adults, when Moses says that he's going to free the people of Egypt, that dime completely shifts and you understand it completely. And it creates a sense of dread and danger whenever Pharaoh comes up and you don't know what rules or implications he has to the story is going to happen. But I think if you did know the story already, I still think that the way this movie tells the story would still work for you, as it still stays true to the themes and characters of who they are, like Aaron, who is Moses' brother, despite him having very little screen time. For what he is there to do, I think worked very well, especially his sister Miriam, who is absolutely fantastic and one of my favorite characters in this film. She has a warm heart and is the one who always prays for Moses to come back and come to his senses. And she never lashes out on him. She is one of the only people in Egypt that just goes up to him with just love in her eyes and wanting to take care of him as her brother. And that pushes for the rest of the people to try and do the same and have faith in God to help them get through this terrible time. So with good characters and good performances, how's the story actually? Well, as I said, it does take liberties and it does change a few stuff here and there, and it is a musical. As I said also before, it is still able to stay true to the themes and everything the story has to tell while doing things a bit differently. And it does so in a very well-paced manner. Nothing felt out of place or too long. No scene felt like it's dragging or cutting short. I feel like the directing here is very smooth. Despite there being 3 directors, it felt completely consistent. I feel like what made this movie as popular now as it is also its music. The Hans Zimmer score and the songs written for this movie are absolutely fantastic. When You Believe is an incredible musical song and a great uplifting one at that. After all the turmoil and terror that the people of Egypt had to go through, it's a very fantastic breather song and is probably the best song in the entire soundtrack. But my personal favorite is Not Deliver Us. That's incredible too. But The Plagues absolutely slaps. It is incredible to listen to. The rising tension, the chorus, the lyrics singing by Ralph Fiennes and Val. It's like, I don't know how to describe it. There's just something so dread-filled about that song that just amplifies the tension even more whenever it comes up in the film. And I love it. The animation also still holds up very well. This is during a time when DreamWorks was doing a lot more hand-drawn animation, like with The Road to El Dorado or Sinbad. And I think this movie is their best use of 2D animation, and I think it works very well because of its old style and grainy look. It's able to help Egypt feel not only ancient, but also lived in. They really don't make animation movies like this with designs that feel lived in, that are a bit exaggerated. Everything here felt dirty and crusty, and you really hate how the people of Egypt are living and you want them to be free. But the entire look was able to amplify that even more so. What I'm trying to say here is that The Prince of Egypt in a filmmaking level is a very well told adaptation of the book of Moses, and I think the movie, despite taking some creative liberties, was able to stay true to the themes and characters extremely well. The music is incredible, the animation is fantastic, the characters are really good with great performances, the directing is solid and felt consistent, the pacing is absolutely great. I barely have any flaws with the film, apart from one song being like an 8 out of 10. That's still overall positive. I can't think of any nitpicks at all coming off from me. Yeah, there are creative liberties, but the movie still understood the story very well and its characters, and it, in my opinion, is the best adaptation of the Book of Moses we have to date. Yes, that means it's, in my opinion, it is better than the 10 Commandments. I'm going to give The Prince of Egypt an A+. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys next time.